In our last lesson, we talked about a trip in India, but we still haven't started. We only started with describing the photo, and then I had some general questions for the group, and I asked them what they know about India and if they would like to go there. And some of them answered yes, some of them answered no, but we still haven't finished this. But the lesson before it, we were talking about something which is called volunteerism. And it's not a real word, it's just a combination of the words volunteer or maybe volunteer work plus tourism. So there's this new kind of tourism, which is tourism mixed or combined with volunteer work. So the idea is you go to maybe an underprivileged place around the world. And this could be Asia, Africa, some kind of poor nation. And you visit the country. And of course, when you visit the country, you're bringing tourist money, you're bringing income to the country. So this is a good thing. Plus, you can do some kind of volunteer work. You can teach the kids for free. You can help build a polyclinic, a hospital, a school, something like that. You can help to conserve the nature, look out for maybe native wildlife, things like this. This is the idea. So we talked about volunteerism, and we read these two stories of two tourists who went on volunteerism holidays. One of them was Shelley. She went to Nepal. And then we had the other boy, his name is William Boyd. He went to Grenada in the Caribbean. So we had these two. After that, what we did was focus on changing nouns to adjectives, word building. So we worked with this. This is a topic which is, I think, really important if you're planning on doing your IELTS.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Hello, Malak.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How about you?
Fine, alhamdulillah.
Okay, do you have problems with your connection?
Yes. Today we don't have internet, but I do Madar internet.
You're using your Madar.
Yes, I don't know if it is okay or not.
No, it's actually until now. It sounds fine. Sounds fine. I can hear you. I can hear you clearly.
Okay.
Let's hope it continues like this because it's okay so far.
Inshallah.
Yeah. Anyways, so I'm just quickly reviewing some of the things we covered in our last lessons. We talked about volunteerism, and we covered this suffixes for adjectives, suffixes for nouns. This is kind of important, to be honest. This is really important, especially in the later levels and with your overall vocabulary skills. So it's good to be able to change easily from adjectives to nouns without any problem. And there are a few, I don't know if it's a rule, but maybe let's call them suffixes. So usually nouns have this ness suffix. So you can say kind, kindness, gentle, gentleness. There are many words which blindness, so you have this ending. And the same story with all the other. The same thing goes with nouns when you change them to adjectives. So you have danger, dangerous, comfort, comfortable, politics, political, health, healthy. So again, same idea. So we worked with these, and we also changed these words back from, if they're nouns, we change them to adjectives. If they're adjectives, we change them to nouns. And of course, we talked a little bit about India. But Najat, tell us a little bit about what you think about India. Do you know anything about India? Do you have any background information? Maybe you had a friend or a family member or someone visit India. Do you know anything about it?
Taj Mahal only.
You only know Taj Mahal.
Yes.
Have you been there? Have you visited it?
And I think Muslim.
Yes, it's a Muslim emperor built it. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And,
have you been
I like
to India?
Indian, no, never.
No, you haven't. Okay.
The Indian food.
So you like the Indian food? I like it too. I think they have a great cuisine. I
Yes.
agree. Would you like to go there? Would you like to visit India?
Inshallah, I hope that.
So you're actually interested. You would like to go there.
Yes.
Nice. Because many people, especially here in Libya, you know, are like, they're not very excited. And I know a few relatives who went to India. One of them absolutely hated it.
Why?
They said it was crowded, smelly, dirty. So it's a little different from.
I think rich culture.
Yeah, this is what I would say. It's just another culture. It has other standards. It has other norms. Maybe for you it might be dirty, but for them it's normal. It's not very dirty. So anyway.
The best I watched Indian films.
You liked Bollywood films?
Yes.
No. Why not?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
You're more serious now?
No, not interested.
You're not interested in them anymore?
Yes. No. I have any interest in TV.
You have no interest in TV?
Yes.
Okay. Well, anyway, so because the lesson is mainly about recommendations, so we're gonna hear two couples. So we have couple number one, Ella and Mike, and we have the second couple, Rebecca and Charlie. So we will hear the chat or maybe see what they're talking about. But I can already tell you that it's about recommendations. Okay, so they want to know where to go to in India, what to visit, what to do, where to eat. You know, they want to know the do's and don'ts. So this is what they really want. So I'm going to play the CD for you. It says, look at the photo on page 29. Ella and Mike are going on a trip to Delhi. They're asking Rebecca and Charlie for recommendations. Watch or listen to their conversation and tick the topics they talk about. Which topics don't they talk about? All right, can you see these 8 topics? So they're gonna talk about most of them, maybe not all of them, but our job is to tick the ones that they do talk about. And after that, just mention the ones that they didn't talk about. So this means maybe pay a little attention and try to figure out which ones they talk about, okay? So let me take you to the listening track. Let's go to interlude. So this is track 26. Oops, sorry. Can you hear it? No, you can't. Which, okay, so let's listen.
Track 26.
These samosas are nice. Try one.
Yeah, they're delicious.
So are you two looking forward to your trip to India?
Yeah, we can't wait.
Where are you flying to?
New Delhi. It was the cheapest flight we could get.
You've been to Delhi, haven't you?
Yes, we went there about 18 months ago.
Well, maybe you can give us some tips.
Sure. What do you want to know?
Well, firstly, do you know any good places to stay?
Well, there are lots of good hotels in Connaught Place. That's right in the centre of New Delhi.
Yes, the place we stayed in is called the Raj Hotel. It's not too expensive and very comfortable. You can book rooms online.
Great, thanks. We'll check it out. And what's the best way to get around?
In Delhi, it's probably best to use rickshaws. They're quicker than taxis and quite cheap.
Okay.
And to travel to other cities, I'd recommend the trains. They're a lot safer than the buses, especially at night.
Well, that's good to know. So, what should we go and see? Are there any good museums?
Oh, no. Don't bother going to the museums. They're not that interesting, and there are much better things to see in Delhi.
Yeah, but you should definitely see the Red Fort in Old Delhi. It was built in the 17th century, and it's absolutely huge.
Right, the Red Fort in Old Delhi. What else is worth visiting?
Well, there's the Jami Masjid, of course. That's well worth seeing. It's the biggest mosque in India, and it's only a few minutes from the Red Fort.
Okay, that sounds good.
And there's a much older fort, about half an hour from the centre.
Yes, but it isn't really worth visiting, I don't think.
Okay. What about places outside Delhi?
Well, it's probably already on your list, but you really must go to Agra to see the Taj Mahal. It's only 3 hours away by train. You can do it in a day if you start early.
Yes, we're planning to go there. And what about the food? Do you know any good places to eat in Delhi?
Yes, there are lots of really good restaurants in Connaught Place. Oh, what was the name of that place we used to go to?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام.
وعليكم السلام. How are you
Uh,
today?
Good, fine. The link didn't work, the first one?
Yeah. Yes.
So strange.
Yes, me too. Me too.
But Najat, it worked with you. خلينا نجاة خش الطول. So strange. ثواني خش باللينك غلط. Okay, sorry. Just a second. Let me check. Okay. Okay, Sana is also here. Okay. So before we repeat it again, let's see your answers.
السلام عليكم.
Alaikum salam. Hello, Sana, how are you?
Fine. What happened today? I couldn't enter the meeting.
The same thing. That's what Hajar said. I don't know. It's the same. It's the same link. It's so strange.
Because told us the host there is another meeting
Another meeting
in progress.
Yeah, that's what Malak said and Hajar said. But how did Najat enter directly? I don't know. I think maybe she hacked my Zoom account. Najat, did you hack my Zoom account?
Maybe because
Yes, because I'm not in Libya.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's some kind of security feature. I don't know, something new. Because sometimes they update the system. Because who has an iPhone, by the way? Who's using an iPhone?
no.
Nobody's using it. Because I had a student who's using an iPhone and he had a problem. He couldn't enter unless I give him the password. So the link doesn't work with his phone. So sometimes these things happen. Anyway, so let me repeat the track for you. But let me just quickly check Najat and Malak. Did you?
We didn't listen it.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm going to repeat it actually because we have to do it twice. There's also the second part here. Yeah. Okay, so let me repeat the whole thing again. So let's listen. Remember, when we started this lesson last time, we were just starting to talk about India, and we agreed that this lesson is about recommendations. So we have the two couples here. We have Ella and Mike, and also Rebecca and Charlie. So Ella and Mike are getting tips or getting recommendations about India from their friends, from Rebecca and Charlie. All right. So let's listen to the conversation. So in this question, number 2, what they want you to do is basically tick the points or the topics that they cover. So the topics that they talk about, you need to cover them or tick them, just tick them, the topics they talk about. And of course, there will be maybe 2 or 3 points or something that they don't talk about. So we'll try to mention those too. Okay, so let's listen.
Track 26.
These samosas are nice. Try one.
Yeah, they're delicious.
So are you two looking forward to your trip to India?
Yeah, we can't wait.
Where are you flying to?
New Delhi. It was the cheapest flight we could get.
You've been to Delhi, haven't you?
Yes, we went there about 18 months ago.
Well, maybe you can give us some tips.
Sure. What do you want to know?
Well, firstly, do you know any good places to stay?
Well, there are lots of good hotels in Connaught Place. That's right in the centre of New Delhi.
Yes, the place we stayed in is called the Raj Hotel. It's not too expensive and very comfortable. You can book rooms online.
Great, thanks. We'll check it out. And what's the best way to get around?
In Delhi, it's probably best to use rickshaws. They're quicker than taxis and quite cheap.
Okay.
And to travel to other cities, I'd recommend the trains. They're a lot safer than the buses, especially at night.
Well, that's good to know. So, what should we go and see? Are there any good museums?
Oh, no. Don't bother going to the museums. They're not that interesting, and there are much better things to see in Delhi.
Yeah, but you should definitely see the Red Fort in Old Delhi. It was built in the 17th century, and it's absolutely huge.
Right, the Red Fort in Old Delhi. What else is worth visiting?
Well, there's the Jami Masjid, of course. That's well worth seeing. It's the biggest mosque in India, and it's only a few minutes from the Red Fort.
Okay, that sounds good.
And there's a much older fort, about half an hour from the centre.
Yes, but it isn't really worth visiting, I don't think.
Okay. What about places outside Delhi?
Well, it's probably already on your list, but you really must go to Agra to see the Taj Mahal. It's only 3 hours away by train. You can do it in a day if you start early.
Yes, we're planning to go there. And what about the food? Do you know any good places to eat in Delhi?
Yes, there are lots of really good restaurants in Connaught Place. Oh, what was the name of that place we used to go to?
Oh, yes. I know the place you mean. I think it's called the Shanty.
Yes, that's right. It's only a few minutes from the Raj Hotel, and the food there was amazing.
Thanks, that's really useful. Have you got any other tips?
Well, only drink bottled water, of course. And don't drink anything with ice in it. Ice is usually made with tap water, which isn't very safe.
Yes, I've heard that before.
And I wouldn't eat any salads because they're often washed in tap water too.
Yes, that sounds like good advice.
All this talk of India is making me want to come with you.
Yeah, me too. Perhaps we could ask Lisa and Daniel to babysit for a month.
Oh, look, here comes our food.
Okay. So which of these topics did they talk about?
The best time to visit?
Did they talk about that?
No, they didn't.
Okay.
Place to stay.
No,
Places.
they mentioned that. Yes.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. Place to eat.
Places to eat.
Okay.
Places to eat, yeah.
Changing money doesn't talk about it.
Yes. Things to see in the city.
Yeah. Getting around.
Well, things to see in the city. Things not to see in the city. This is.
Yeah.
Things to see outside the Delhi.
Okay, but did they talk about things not to see in the city?
Maybe about the
remember,
museum.
but I think
That's correct. They mentioned the museum is not worth seeing.
Yeah.
What else did they talk about?
Dangers and problems.
Dangerous, yes.
Okay, like what?
About the ice and the salad.
Ice, salads, and what else?
Maybe taxis.
Maybe go by taxi, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe train.
Train or taxi?
Also, yeah. Getting around, let's talk about it.
So they talked about getting around. So this means there are only two things they didn't talk about.
Yeah.
What were they?
Changing money and the best time to visit.
All right, okay. Now I want to see how much you can remember by doing the next point. So here what I want you to do is just tick the true sentences and correct the false ones. So true, false. So Rebecca and Charlie, remember Rebecca and Charlie are the couple who already visited India. So this is Rebecca and Charlie. So they've already been there. So they're giving advice now. So I want you to tell me which of these are true. Let's start with the first one. Rebecca and Charlie think that rickshaws are the best way to get around town. Is that correct? Is that true? Did they say that?
True, I think.
Okay. Sana, what do you think? Do you think it's true?
I think yes.
Sorry?
I think yes, true.
You think yes? You think yes? Malak, what do you think?
Yes.
Okay, so let's choose it and then we can, if we have to, we can check again. All right, what about number 2? It's better to travel to other cities by bus. Is this true or is it false?
Maybe they mentioned trains. I don't know about bus.
What do you think, Najat? For number 3.
They recommended by train. It's safer than use the bus and the other rickshaws.
So this means
I think it's true. True, yeah.
It's true.
Oh,
It's false.
yes.
It's actually false. Okay, because Najat is right. Yeah, they did. They mentioned the trains exactly. Okay, now what about number 3? Ella and Mike should visit the museums in Delhi.
No.
False.
Okay, they should go to the Red Fort in Old Delhi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did recommend it. Okay, they can visit the Taj Mahal and come back on the same day.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
true.
You should go early.
Yes, as long as you go early, you can catch up. There is only one good restaurant in Connaught Place.
No, I think many.
Lots of good restaurant in
Correct.
Connaught.
Yeah. So this is false. But they did recommend a specific one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but there are others. I think there are others. All right, so this is correct. Yeah, this was the chat they had. Okay, so now what we want to do is complete. Can you see this exercise number 3? We want to see how you can ask for recommendations and how you can give recommendations. So this is what we want to work at here. So we have 3 sections. The first section is asking for recommendations. And then the second section is recommending things, or I mean, giving recommendations. And the very last part is, I mean, the last 2 parts. This one is not recommending, and this one is responding to recommendations. Okay, so we have 4 sections. Let's start with the first one. So this is how you can ask for recommendations. So you can say, for example, do you know any good places to eat? Any good places to stay? What about number 2? How can we complete number 2?
What is the best way to get around?
Right. What's the best way to get around? What's the best way? Okay. What about this one, number 3? What else is worth
Visiting. Worth visiting.
That's it. Yeah. What else is worth visiting? What else is worth?
About places.
What about places outside Delhi?
Right. What about? Have you got any other
Tips?
Tips. All right. Now remember that you can use these exact questions to ask for recommendations about anything. So let's say you're talking to your friend. What's the best thing to buy? Maybe your friend went to a supermarket and you want her to talk about it. Does she recommend it? What about? You can also fill in anything you want to ask about. All right, so this is the first section, asking about recommendations. Now let's do the second part here, recommending things. So what should we use to recommend things here? It's probably something to use rickshaws.
Best to use.
Okay.
Best, yes.
You think it's probably best to use? Should we say best?
Yeah.
Okay. What about number 7 here?
Recommended.
I'd recommend it.
Okay, is it recommended or recommend?
Yeah.
Recommend.
What's the difference between recommend and recommended?
Recommended.
I think in the
past.
Oh, okay, but I can say, I can use it in the present. I can say this place is highly recommended.
Maybe adjective. Maybe you can use adjective.
Exactly. It's an adjective, right? So, but here, what is it here? Recommend, like this. What is it?
Here, infinitive. Recommend.
Right. It's infinitive. It's a verb. Exactly. Yes.
Yes. Afterward.
Exactly. Afterward. Yeah, that's why. I'd oops, I didn't remember. I'd recommend the trains. You should see the Red Fort.
Definitely.
Yeah, you should definitely. You should definitely see the Red Fort. That's something seeing.
Where?
Worth. That's
Worth.
well worth seeing. What does this mean, anyways? It's well worth seeing. What do you think they're trying to say?
Means it's good to see. It's
yeah.
Okay, but if I say it's not worth it,
worth.
if I say to someone it's not worth it, what am I trying to say?
Isn't good.
You
It
don't have
doesn't.
to waste. You don't have to.
You lose your time and your money to go there.
Correct. Yeah, this is what it means when something is worthy. This is an adjective. I don't know if you know this one. He's a worthy. Sometimes they use it in. It's a little old, this word. I don't think they use it a lot in everyday English anymore. But it's a worthy opponent. So sometimes boxers or fighters, after the match, if when they win, of course, and they want to talk about the other person, and if the other person was very strong, they can say, well, he was a worthy opponent. What do you think it means here, worthy opponent? And opponent means like the opposite person that you're fighting against, or the person that you're playing against is your opponent, by the way. So what's opponent in Arabic?
منافس.
منافس, خصم, صح. Yes. But when we say worthy opponent,
خصم.
يستحق المنافسة ممكن.
yes, exactly. هذا المعنى. خصم يستحق المنافسة أو خصم محترم يعني مخضرم مستاهل المعركة in a way. So worthy اللي هي الworth بمعنى من القيمة جاية. worthy شيء يستحق أو يعني يستاهل القيمة أو يستاهل. It's worth the value. It's worth the time. It's worth the money. So worthy. Worthy is the adjective. Worth is the verb. It's well worth seeing. All right. Now, number 10, the last one, of course, it's you really must. You really must go. Okay, so this is recommending things. So if someone is asking you, you can recommend using some of these sentences. All right, now next part, not recommending things. So here's something that you do not recommend. So don't something going to the museums.
Worth.
Close, but not quite.
Bother.
Sorry?
Bother.
Bother. Correct.
Yeah.
Don't bother. What do you think it means? Don't bother going to the museums. Don't bother. Don't bother.
Upset.
No.
Okay.
Bother upset.
صح. ولو بنستعملها هيك بروحها. Stop bothering your sister. مثلا أخوه صغير ضايق في أخته. أمهم مرات تجي تقول لهم stop bothering your sister. خلاها في حالها. Right? فتمشي زي ما قلتي زي ما قالت سناء. Correct. Bother is like upset. لكن هني شوية سياق مختلف. What do you think? Don't bother. So if something is bothering, okay? If something is bothering, is it good or not?
Don't deserve.
Yes. It doesn't deserve to bother yourself about it.
Yes.
Do you get the idea? Because usually in life, if something is important or it's worth our time, it's okay if we bother ourselves a little bit for it because it's important, right? So, for example, before your exam, when you study everybody's bothered. Nobody wants to study before their exams. Nobody wants to stay up at night and wake up early. But this is for a goal. So that's why we bother ourselves to do it. Do you get the idea?
Yeah.
So when someone says don't bother, it means it's not worth your time. مش محتاج ما تتعبش روحك على الموضوع زي ما احنا بالليبي كنا ما تتعبش روحك فوت الموضوع. All right, what about 12? It isn't really worth. Yeah, it isn't really worth. Yeah. This one is clear. It's imperative.
Don't.
Yes. Yeah, don't.
Don't.
Clear imperative. Don't drink anything with ice. The last one.
I wouldn't.
Yes.
Wouldn't.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't eat any salads. Okay. And how would you respond to these recommendations? That's good to
know.
No.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
That sounds good.
Sounds good.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Thanks. That's really
useful.
Useful.
Yes, I've
Here.
Heard that before.
That's right. Yes, I've heard that before. That's correct. Okay, so these are different ways we can ask, we can give recommendations, give things that, negative recommendations, things that you shouldn't do or you shouldn't try, and also how to respond. All right, so this is a mini grammar question here. It says, which verb form comes after these phrases? So if you start a recommendation by saying, it's not worth, what's the verb form?
Verb in ing.
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking.
That's exactly right. Yeah, because we will say it's not worth visiting. It's not worth seeing. It's not worth going there. It's not worth buying. It's not worth, you know, spending any time. So verb plus ing. Don't bother.
Also verb
Right?
plus ing.
Even verb plus ing.
That's exactly right, yeah. So don't bother visiting the museum. Don't bother going to work. So for example, if it's a lockdown, you can tell your family, yeah, don't bother waking up early in the morning. Don't bother. Just stay in bed, you know. Don't bother taking a shower. Nobody's going to smell you. You can take one shower per week, right? Because you don't have to go to work anymore. So don't bother. All right, the last one, number 3, I'd or I wouldn't.
Infinitive.
Yeah, here you need an infinitive, right? So plus infinitive. All right, so this is all they want you to pay attention to. Now, so I'm just going to play them from the CD. I just want you to see the stress and intonation, how you can use these, and of course you can listen and repeat. So maybe you can get used to using these nice recommendations. So let me play the CD for you so we can listen and practice.
Do you know any good places to stay?
Okay, let's listen to the next one.
What's the best way to get around?
What else is worth seeing?
What about places outside Delhi?
Have you got any other tips?
It's probably best to use rickshaws.
I'd recommend the trains.
You should definitely see the Red Fort.
That's well worth seeing.
You really must go to Agra to see the Taj Mahal.
Don't bother going to the museums.
It isn't really worth visiting, I don't think.
Don't drink anything with ice in it.
I wouldn't eat any salads.
That's good to know.
That sounds good.
Thanks. That's really useful.
Yes, I've heard that before.
All right. Now, my question is, who has...
teacher.
Yes, hello. Yeah, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. I'm sorry about last class because I was busy.
No, that's okay.
So I cannot answer to you.
Don't worry, no problem. That's okay. Actually, I'm sorry too, because usually on Friday I usually upload the lessons, but I had a really tough Friday. I couldn't upload any lessons. So المفروض هما كانوا يتحملوا اللي فاتوك يعني، لكن غير ما حصل ما لحقتش عليهم يعني.
لا, no problem. I also watched the YouTube in your channel. So I try every day take 1 hour to attend this class. You know.
All right, that's good. That's nice.
That's good.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so my question now is, I'd like to ask you, which of these recommendations do you have for any country you've visited? So let's say you visited, I don't know, even Tunisia, Turkey, Italy, whatever country, Malta, the UK, any other country you've been to. My question is, which recommendation would you use? Would you give, of course? So what I want you to do is, I want you to use these two parts here, recommending things and not recommending things. And I'd like you to tell me which country you would use these for. You have?
Just one question. I want to ask about workbook, about this book. I must answer this workbook or just this book?
No, you should.
So you I can't. I didn't have workbook. Or you don't.
I didn't send you. Oh, okay. Anyone else doesn't have a workbook? Or just you have? What about you, Hajim? Like, Sana, do you have the workbook for?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
But did I send it or did you buy one?
Just
no,
me. Yeah?
You send it us.
Yes,
okay. So it means it's just you. You're unlucky. Yeah?
Yeah,
So just send me a message after this lesson to remind me.
Yes, I will. Because I didn't have in Google or any.
Yeah, they're really hard.
Yes.
They're really hard to find. You can't find them easily.
Yes, because this is this update, book update. Yes.
This is the second edition. Yeah, the last edition. This one.
Yes. I have one edition, I think.
The first edition.
But different from some classes.
You're right. There are small differences.
Yes.
But just send me a message. I usually just read them and ignore them, but just send me anyways, because I get lots of messages and sometimes I'm half asleep and just
I just because I thought you sent me this book, but I searched about your message. I didn't have any. I didn't take it or get it.
Yeah. It means I completely forgot about you. Good thing that you reminded me, because the workbook is really, really good. I highly recommend that you do the workbook. It will help a lot, especially after the lesson. You go back to the workbook and do a few exercises. whatever you take in the lesson will stick, because you get to practice it. So I recommend you do the workbook.
It's okay, teacher. I will check that and I will send you. It's okay.
All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. So now the question is, who can recommend or not recommend something in another country? And of course, you can change some of the details. So, for example, let's say I want to talk about. Let's say I want to talk about Istanbul. Okay, I think most of you have been to Istanbul or Turkey. So maybe I can say it's probably best to use public transportation. So this is a good recommendation, I think, for Istanbul. It's probably good to use the tram or the train, because the roads are usually full of cars. There's too much traffic. And I can also say you should definitely see Hagia Sophia, for example. You should definitely see Hagia Sophia. This is an example of a few recommendations in Istanbul. So who would recommend or not recommend some of these things from any of the countries that they visited? For example, Sinan, tell us about a country you visited. Any country, or even a city in Libya, by the way. You don't have to recommend another country. Let's imagine I'm a tourist coming from another country and I'm coming to Libya. So now I'm asking you for recommendations, okay? So my questions, I can say, for example, have you got any recommendations for staying or for visiting Libya? So what would you tell me, Sana? What would you recommend?
For me, okay, I will tell the tourist about the Tripoli, maybe.
Okay.
So I think it's the best because I know lots of things about this city. Okay. Okay. I will. Okay. It's probably best to use the taxi to go around. Okay. Because the taxi, maybe we will put you in the same place or in the exactly place. Okay. Because Libya, there is no buses or public transportation.
True.
Okay. And you should definitely see the old city. And okay. Okay.
What about things you don't recommend?
Okay. I don't know what not recommended. Maybe I recommended not do use the
Don't use. Maybe you can recommend the tourists.
Maybe don't bother going to maybe sea.
To the beach, yeah. Don't bother going to the beach in Tripoli.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's too dirty. It's too polluted.
Yeah.
Or I think the best thing you can recommend or not recommend a tourist, you should say, don't bother coming to Libya now. It's not the right, choose go to another place, right?
Yes, yeah, because unsafe now.
Yeah, it's uncertain. What if the tourist gets killed or kidnapped or something? Then your friend will be very upset with you. They'll tell you, why didn't you recommend staying far away?
They will not talk with me
ever again.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So this is the idea. Let's see one last. Let's see someone else. Haja, would you like to maybe recommend or don't recommend something, whether it's for someone visiting Libya or if your friend wants to visit a country you've been to. What do you recommend?
Okay. I'm gonna talk about Egypt because you already talked about Turkey. It's probably best to use what they call, not taxi, it's a company. I forget the name.
Company travel?
What?
Company travel?
No.
About travel?
No, about the
Uber,
it's like
private taxi.
Uber.
Uber.
Yeah, Uber.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's more safe, and you see the direction where you're going to. So yeah, they couldn't play on you because we know the Egyptians.
So they can't cheat you.
Yeah, you can. He can't.
Yeah. Okay, so this means it's probably best to use Uber.
Uber, yes. It's the best company there. There's also company called Kareem, but it doesn't get like Uber because the headmaster of Uber is European, so it's more good more than Kareem.
True. And because the drivers have ratings, right? So if he's a good driver, you can give him a 5-star.
Yes.
If he's slow or fast or horrible or anything. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is good. This is a good recommendation. Any other recommendations? Any other do's and don'ts? Things we should do? Things
you should see. You should definitely see the pyramids. Okay. About not recommended things. I wouldn't eat any salads there also because
of the water. You don't know where it comes from.
Also, the water there isn't good, so
maybe you should say I'd recommend, or it's probably best to use bottled water, right?
Yeah.
Water in bottles. It's probably best to use bottled water.
Yes.
Okay. Any last tips?
No.
Okay, that's good. Do you have any other ones you want to add?
No.
All right. So you can see this is how we can make some recommendations of things to do, things not to do when you visit another country. Now, let's use some of these sentences to complete this exercise, number 5. So it says here, use these prompts to write conversations. So of course, when you see this word prompt, a prompt is always an incomplete sentence. It's not a phrase. It's just an incomplete sentence. So you have to add a lot of things to make a prompt, to turn it into a sentence. So a prompt, in a way, is like it's like a headline that reminds you of the paragraph, right? So this is a prompt. So this is a prompt here. Let me just put it in a little box. And of course, you can see it's missing a few things. So here we only have no good places to eat in town. So if you complete it, do you know any good places to eat in town? Becomes a full question. All right, so now I'm going to give you some time. But let me show the whole thing together. Let me see if I can show all of it together at once. All right, nice. So you can see all of it now. Okay, excellent. So it starts here. طبعا السؤال الأول بس مش باين هو do you know any good places to eat؟ الباقي كله باين. So take a few minutes. Think of the right sentences. I can, if you want, I can show you the other side. Maybe this will make it a little easier, okay? مش هيبانوا كلهم, but you can see some of them. Because we're using this list, which is from number 3, asking for recommendations, recommending things, not recommending things and responding to recommendations. We're using all of that to complete the list here, okay? So take some time. When you're ready, you just let me know and we can do them as a conversation, all right? Anybody finished?
Okay, finished.
Okay. Let's see the others. Sana, Malak, are you done?
Yes.
Okay, Sana's ready. Malak, can you hear us? All right, let's see your answers. Maybe Malak has some net problems. Okay. All right, no problem, Malak.
Yes.
It's okay. As long as you can hear us, that's okay. Okay, so the first, let's start with the first conversation here. So Hajar and Sana.
Yes.
Okay, Malak.
You can't hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. All right, so number one, Hajar and Sana will do the first conversation. So who'd like to start? Who wants to be A? Okay, Sana, you can start.
Okay.
Okay, I will start. Do you know any good place to eat in the town?
Well, you should definitely go go to Narrows in the city center.
Okay. What about the places near where we are staying?
I'd recommend the Grover restaurant. It's opposite the hotel.
That is really useful. Thanks. That is really useful.
Nice, excellent. Okay, great. Okay, let's see the second one. Malak and Najat, can you do number two? I don't know if Malak, you have a good internet. Malak, can you hear us? Hello? I think your internet is not very good. Okay, so never mind. Maybe Najat and Sana can do number two. I think you're okay.
The sound is slowly reach slowly to you. Okay, no problem. You can do it without me. I hear you.
اوكي اهم حاجه بدات تسمعينها كويس لان انت صوتك يوسف مقطع وبطيء. So maybe if you just listen, it's okay. All right, so Najat and Sana, you can do number two, and then Najat and Hajar can do number three. All right, so Najat, you can be A.
Okay, doctor. I'll try. Where is the best place to stay, I think?
Okay, where's the best place to stay? What do you think, Sana?
Okay, it's probably best to stay in the Madison. It's the nice hotel in the city.
Okay, let's just confirm this one. Okay. Next. Okay.
Have you got any other tips?
I wouldn't carry too much money at night.
That's good to know. Thanks.
All right, good. Okay, and the last one, so Najat and Hajar, you can do number three. So you can start, Hajar, you can be A, and Najat can be B.
What's the best places to visit in the city center?
Should we say what's or should we say
what?
But here we have best places.
What are?
What are?
Correct.
You must go to National Art Gallery. It's amazing.
What else? What else? Else.
Is word. Seeing.
What else? What else is worth
Seeing.
Seeing?
Uh-huh.
Are there any good museums?
Well, I don't bother going to city museum. It's not worth visiting. I think.
Okay, but what about this? Okay, in the beginning, there's something I think you can change maybe.
I don't bother, I think.
What do you think, Hazim? What do we use?
I don't bother going.
Are you sure?
Well,
Going is correct.
Going to the city museum?
Correct, but the beginning is not correct.
Well, I don't bother.
What do you think, Sana?
I think the same what Najat said. I don't bother.
No. Because here we have I. So low.
I'm not bother going. Really? I'm not bother going to the.
No.
I don't bother going.
No.
I bother.
هو في ذي trick شوية يعني. Because here, okay, here you're talking about something which is not true. I mean, انت مش حتكوني الشخص نفسه اللي تعطي فيه في نصيحة، فالوضع يعني يعتبر يعني
I
هاي.
must bother going.
No, it's you're trying to say.
I should.
I didn't.
I should.
No.
I wouldn't.
That's it, Sana. Yeah.
Don't.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
So this means Najat and Hajar, you owe Sana some chocolate.
Deserve.
Yes. Sana, you need some. You have to take your chocolate from them. Correct. Wouldn't is correct. I wouldn't bother going. طبعا هي غير لأن الآي هي اللي لخبطت الدنيا. كان ما فيش آي راهو زي ما قالت نجاة. Don't bother لأنها حتكون imperative أمر وخلاص. Don't bother ما تتعبش نفسك. لكن ما دام حط روحها في القصة لازم نقولوا حاجة نظرية يعني. I wouldn't bother. يعني هي مش wouldn't ديما فيها نوع من الفيوتشر الغير حقيقي أحيانا. كأنك تقولي لو أنا كنت في مكانك مش حنتعب روحي نمشي This is what it means. I wouldn't bother. زي مثلا اللي هي I wouldn't eat any salads مثلا. زي في المثال هذا I wouldn't eat any salads. ممكن السؤال الواحد يسأل علاش نستعمل wouldn't؟ شنو قصة wouldn't؟ يعني I wouldn't eat any salads. يعني كأنك باقي جملة هي I wouldn't eat any salads if I were you. هي تعتبر زي second conditional. I wouldn't eat any salads if I were you. لو كنت في مكانك. لكن لو كنت في إمكانك هي مفهومة من السياق، ما يكتبوش فيها مرات. You get the idea. فهو يعتبر second conditional هذا. I wouldn't eat any salads if I were you. Do you get the idea? So it's an imaginary future situation. It's in the future, but it's also imagining, because I will never be you and you will never be me. But if I were you, I wouldn't eat any salads. You get the idea? It's a bit like this. So the same thing here. If I were you, I'll never be you. But if I were you, I wouldn't bother going to the city museum. لو كنت في مكانك مش هنتعب نفسي نمشي city museum. It's not worth visiting, I think. All right.
Okay.
And the last part is yes.
Yes,
Yes,
I have
that
heard that before.
Is it heard or is it heard?
Heard.
What do you think? Heard or heard?
Heard, because it's in the past.
Right, it's in the past. Heard like bird, same sound. Heard, bird, nerd, word. It's the same sound. Heard, word. All right, very nice. So these are different ways that you can use recommendations, whether to ask for any recommendations, whether to give them, to respond to them, or maybe if you want to give things that you don't recommend, you can also do that. So these are very useful in spoken English, of course. In everyday English, they're quite useful. All right, so let's move on. Practice the conversation with your partner. Okay, so we did that. We did that part. All right, now it says here, choose a town, city, or country you know well. Make a list of at least 4 recommendations you can give about the places you have chosen. Use topics if you have. I think we kind of did this, at least Hajar did when she talked about Egypt. She recommended the pyramids. She didn't recommend eating any salads. The same thing with Sana. She recommended going to the old city. She recommended using a taxi. She didn't recommend going to the beach in Tripoli. Okay, so I think we kind of did this, but maybe we can hear a few more recommendations from Najat. Najat, choose any place in the world, any place you know well. Of course, you can even talk about Tripoli. You can talk about your own country. You can talk about a country you visited. Give us a few recommendations, things that you would recommend or not recommend, both. It's up to you. And let me show you the list so I can help you here. Take a look at the list. So you can use these phrases, but of course you can make some changes, but I'm just showing you just to help a little bit. You don't have to copy paste them, but they might help.
Why you use probably when we give a recommendation?
Because usually when you give a recommendation, you don't want to sound, you don't want to make it like an imperative. You want, it probably softens it, makes it a little softer. Do you get the idea? You don't want to be too dogmatic, you know. It's make it a little softer.
It's probably best to use your own car instead of use.
Where is this? And where? What are you talking about? Which place?
About Tunisia here.
Tunisia. Okay, so it's probably
Use your own car or rent a car instead.
Good advice. Okay, so it's probably best to rent a car or use your own car.
Very important, yes.
All right. Okay. Because
here there's a jam رهيبة.
There are lots of traffic
You don't
jams.
get, yes, a taxi at the right time.
Okay. Any other advice or any other recommendations?
That's the
main thing you can think of. Sorry?
That's the important thing first to me.
Okay, okay. So what about things you don't recommend in Tunisia? Things that we shouldn't do? Or
Here, I'm here not as a tourist because I can study.
Okay, so even if it's even if you're not a tourist, even if you're a resident, you can still make advice. You can still give advice or recommend things for tourists or for visitors, right? Because you know a little bit about the place.
About eating, eat at home is better than eat out.
Okay, so maybe we can say don't bother eating out,
yes,
right?
Don't
bother eating out, or you can say it really isn't. It isn't really worth eating out. I don't think.
And rent a flat better than a hotel.
So if you want to make it into a recommendation, so you can say,
yes, if you stay for more than a month, rent a flat better.
Okay, so if you're staying longer than a month, I'd rent. No, I'm not you. I'm about. I'd recommend, or I'd rent a flat if I'm staying more than a month.
Yes.
Or you really should rent a flat if you're staying more than a month. It's probably best to rent a flat if you're staying more than a month. وهكذا.
Yes.
All right, so these are good tips, I think, very useful. All right, so the point is try to use as many different ways to recommend things. And maybe in the beginning, because this is still a new lesson, so maybe it's better just to choose an easy one, just one of them. مش ضروري القائمة كلها بتحفظها. مثلا ايد ممكن هذه يعني من ناحية كسل يعني واحد يختار أكثر واحدة مثلا. And just add I'd recommend أي شيء, right? I'd recommend renting a flat. I'd recommend using your own car. I'd recommend eating at home.
Recommend after
would. Would, you have to use infinitive after it. So just say I'd recommend and just say anything. This is probably the easiest way to recommend things. And if you get used to this, then you can add تقدر تضيفوا الثانيات يعني. And بالنسبة لي not recommending things ممكن أكسر واحدة اللي هي I wouldn't infinitive. I wouldn't use taxis. I wouldn't eat out. I wouldn't stay in a hotel more than a month. I wouldn't or أي حاجة مع wouldn't. So هذه التip يعني. Okay, now let's go to our next exercise. Let me check the camera. I think it froze. Okay, now it's working. Okay, let's check our next exercise. So we finished the talking part. Let's take a look at some pronunciation tips. So number 6 is, basically give recommendations for things that you should do or things you shouldn't do in a city. Now, let's talk a little bit about the schwa sound. So I'm sure that you're probably sick and tired of this sound, the schwa sound. But it's such a common sound. It's very, very common in English. And I think it comes everywhere, really. Can you see in all these blue suffixes, in all these endings? Can you believe that all of them have the same sound? Would you believe that? They look so different, right? Some of them with E-double-S, some of them O-U, some of them A, some of them only O, some of them O-U, some of them A-N-T, some of them A-B-L-E. The spelling is completely different, yet the vowel sound in all of these words is actually the same. It's the same sound. All right, so now I'm going to play this list of words, and I just want you to pay attention to the vowel sound. This it's a kind of loose throat sound. Kindness, kindness. Danger, this sound. So I'm going to play the track. So I want you to listen to all of these. And after that, we just want to practice them just a little. And after that, we want to identify them from these sentences in exercise number 2. All right. But first of all, let's just listen to them. Let's get our ears used to this very common sound. So let's listen.
28. Kindness. Laziness. Dangerous. Famous. Musical. Natural. Author. Director. Assistant. Accountant. Comfortable. Fashionable. Improvement. Argument. Collection. Decision.
Okay, did you see the words? Did you see the ending? How they...
Yeah.
Okay, who thinks they're all the same and who thinks maybe there are some differences? Does anybody think there are any differences? I mean, forget
musical
about
and natural.
Musical and natural.
Yeah, it's more strange, but in others, it's okay. It's the same ending.
And you think it's strange because of the spelling or the sound?
The sound.
Natural, laziness, natural, laziness, natural. You think it's not the same sound?
It's not like the same sound, but it's a little bit
Can you say it? Can you say these two words?
Musical. Natural.
Okay, can you say this one?
Okay. Comfortable. Yeah. Fashionable. Yes, sir.
Is it the same or is it different?
It's the same.
Yeah.
Author and director.
Author and director, yes.
The same, huh? Author.
Yeah, the same sound. Author, director, musical, dangerous. The sound, the vowel sound هو طبعا تركيز كله في الصوت المتحرك اللي هو الشواء هذا يعتبر صوت متحرك. It's a vowel sound. Author, director. Of course, these two words, for example, in Spanish and Portuguese, they sound very different. ومن spelling زي بعض. In English, it's natural. In Spanish, it's natural. In Portuguese, natural.
Yeah.
So because they say it, دوكا ينطقوا زي spelling. In English, of course, they don't do this. They don't really follow the spelling of the words. They have their kind of own pronunciation. But other language, مثلا شنو كلمة ثانية مشتركة collection sorry. Okay, that's different.
Also the French.
Yeah.
They're the same.
Yeah, the French also don't really pronounce letters correctly. They just do their own thing.
Yeah.
So their English and French, they have this in common, actually. You can't really rely on spelling very much. Anyway, so this is the sound. This is the sound in English. It's common. It's not all languages have this sound, by the way. It's a very common sound in English, but maybe not so common in other languages.
It's a creepy sound.
It is a creepy sound because it's not an E, it's not an A, you know,
Yeah.
it's not an O. مبهمة كده جاية لا O, لا A, لا E. Kindness, so what is it's not A, it's not E, it's not O, it's not U, it's kind of in the middle of everything.
Also, it cannot describe how to pronounce rounded. It's all the things you can't use it with the schwa sound.
Yeah, but the thing you have to remember with the schwa sound, it's always unstressed. It's never stressed.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
maybe this
it's
helps.
a vowel sound.
It's a vowel sound, but some vowel sounds are stressed. مثلا accountant, cow. This ow sound in the middle is stressed. Accountant. So ow is a vowel sound, but it's stressed. مثلا improvement. Prove, this middle syllable, prove, the oo is stressed.
Because maybe they are diphthong, not the
diphthongs. مثلا عندك في القائمة هذه accountant is a diphthong because you have, you know, but for example, improvement, prove, is not a diphthong, it's one sound. Improvement, ooh, improvement. The same thing here. Famous, the A of famous. But schwas are not stressed. Anyways, so we actually answered this question already. Listen again. Are the suffixes stressed? They're not, because all of them have schwas, so they are not stressed. Okay, now before we listen to this one, I want you to take a quick read. So spend a minute or two, read all of these sentences, these 8 sentences, and I want you to underline where you think there's a schwa sound. Okay? And after that, we'll listen to confirm this. So take a minute, read all 8 examples, and after that, tell me where you think the schwa sounds are. Okay, who's ready?
Okay.
Okay, so Haj's ready. Sana, what about you? What do you think?
For me, I was far away from I didn't know what's the. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. If you repeat the question, please.
All right. So, so the question here is basically read the points, these 8 sentences, and all you need to do is underline the schwa sound. Where you think there's a schwa sound.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, let's check. So let's start with Sana. So maybe it's better if you stayed far away, right? Can I get
not far away because I don't like this the sound and how to because I don't study like this before.
Yeah.
It's not like that's why maybe.
But this is a good thing. So this is new experience for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So all right. So let's check. Now the idea here, of course, it's all about pronunciation. I know it sounds a little pointless. Maybe it is a bit pointless. This is Najat's suggestion. I kind of agree with her. But of course, the idea is we don't have to, for example, when I say it's dangerous to be ambitious and adventurous, it doesn't mean I have to think, oh, does this word have a schwa? No, it doesn't. This one, you don't have to do it like that, of course. But it is important to know that this sound is called whatever it's called. I mean, it's more important to just pronounce it correctly. It's more important to remember that this sound is very common. And there are so many words which have this same sound. Anyways, so where do you think in the first example, where are the schwas here? If there are any schwas, what do you think?
In the first sentence or in the second?
First.
Because in the first, there is dangerous.
Only dangerous?
There is to be
ambitious.
What about ambitious and adventurous? What do you think?
I think both of them, the sound of ambition,
ambitious,
and ambitious.
Okay, if you compare dangerous, ambitious, and adventurous, are the endings the same or are they different?
I think the same.
You're right. You're right.
Yes.
So this means all three of them have the schwa sound, right? Because they're the same, like you said. All right. What about number 2? What do you think? Let's see, Malak, what do you think about number 2?
Account.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Content, assistant,
Mm-hmm.
and important.
Mm-hmm.
Important.
Okay, correct. Okay, what about number 3?
Yes, important. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What about number 3?
Knowledgeable,
Mm-hmm.
reliable,
Mm-hmm.
and fashionable.
Right, correct. Number 4?
Happiness,
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 Mm-hmm.
sadness,
sadness,
Mm-hmm.
illness.
Mm-hmm.
illness.
Correct. So this means whenever you say these words, say them like this: sadness, illness, happiness, not happiness or sadness. It's not ness, it's nus, right?
Yes, okay.
All right, what about number 5?
director,
Director,
Mm-hmm.
visitor,
Mm-hmm.
visitor,
author,
author,
Mm-hmm.
doctor,
doctor,
Right,
actor,
and actor.
correct. What about 6?
discussion,
Mm-hmm.
Discussion,
decision,
decision,
Mm-hmm.
revision,
revision.
Right. What about number 7?
traditional,
Mm-hmm. Is
Traditional,
it traditional or is it
medical,
traditional?
traditional,
Is it null or null?
traditional,
traditional,
Yes, it's with a closed mouth. Traditional. What about this one?
medical,
Medical.
medical,
natural,
Natural.
natural,
herbal,
Herbal. Correct.
herbal,
Yeah.
disappointment,
Yes.
disappointment,
government,
government,
Mm-hmm.
improvement,
improvement,
employment,
Right.
unemployment.
Correct. Now I want you to see how all of these very, very different suffixes in spelling, how they actually sound the same. So I'm just going to play the track for you. So let's take a look.
29. 1.
It's dangerous to be ambitious and adventurous.
2.
The accountant's assistant is very important.
3.
She's knowledgeable, reliable, and fashionable.
4.
He felt both happiness and sadness after his illness.
5.
The director had 3 visitors, an author, a doctor, and an actor.
6.
We had a discussion and made a decision to do some revision.
7.
It's a traditional medical centre that uses natural herbal medicine.
8.
There's disappointment in the government because there's no improvement in unemployment.
Okay. So all of our answers are correct. That's great. So this is the story with the schwa sound. It has no relationship whatsoever with the spelling. Spelling فوادي والصوت في وادي تاني, because it's the same sound even with very, very different spelling. I think this is the point they're trying to show you, that when you're learning new words, it's always better to rely on the pronunciation. Don't depend on the spelling. All right, so we're done for today, but let me give you a quick preview, a little quick check on our topic for our next lesson. Let's have a quick preview. So in our next lesson, we will talk about collocations. Most of them are related to music. So we have the verbs here on the left, and we want to match them with certain words. Most of it is related to music. We will also talk about the past simple, past continuous, and how to use used to, which of course we use it to talk about past habits. So we will talk about this. So we have a little bit of grammar in our next lesson, and also a bit of reading. You can see here we have this very interesting exercise. This one is nice, number 8, because here you have a mix of past simple, past continuous, and used to, and sometimes there's more than one possible answer. So we will work on this in our next lesson. And after that, we'll talk about the past perfect. All right, so that's all for today. Thank you for your time. And we'll meet again on Monday.
Inshallah.
All right, so have a good evening.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You too.
Good night.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.